GameGents!
Oh dear, you appear to have clicked one too many hyperlinks and have found yourself trapped in another episode of DOS Like a Boss. But don't worry, I'm going to play a game you might have actually heard of. The 1994 Robot Punch 'em and Kick 'em Simulator, One Must Fall 2097. Don't let the title confuse you though, it really was made in 1994. And while we're on the subject of misconceptions about this game, despite what the box art implies, it's not a game about Optimus Prime tearing off Bumblebee's head, nor does it contain sweet as hell cyber dragons. More's the pity. But you know what is sweet as hell? This intro music. I'll just let you enjoy it for a few moments. Alright, so we have our normal, everyday, one-player arcade story mode, standard stuff. However, you get to make two choices. The first one being your character. Loving the terrible Americanime characters, by the way. As you can see, they all have varying statistics. You can choose whichever one suits your playstyle. A character with more power will hit harder, more agility makes you attack faster, and endurance lets you take more of a pounding yourself. After you pick your character, then you get to choose which robot you want to pilot. Each robot has its own inherent power, agility, and endurance, which is further affected by your pilot. In addition, they all have their own suite of special moves, and like most other fighting games, each one handles a little differently. The Jaguar here is your Shoto guy equivalent. The Shadow can project a shadow of itself across the arena for long-range attacks. And the Kronos teleports, and so on and so forth. Everyone has their own pointless fighting game story played out between matches in the form of Street Fighter-esque smack talk. There are two basic attacks in this game, punch and kick. Deal with it. But here's something a little more interesting. The arenas each have unique hazards that players can both avoid and use to their advantage. Punching someone into a hazard is a great way to make your friends rue the day that they ever became your friend. Jerk. The game even has its own fatalities. They're called scrap moves. Just like Mortal Kombat, the inputs are along the lines of down, down, up, punch. But the Brothers Elam weren't content with just one opportunity to teabag your victim. Once you do a scrap, if you time it right, you can input a further destruction move, which will typically make your opponent explode into tiny, little pieces. Jerk. Once the match is over, you'll get a fun little news report talking about your performance. The androgynous reporter will say different things depending on how well you did in the match. Being a PC game, it's typically more customizable than your console fare. You can tweak game speed, player handicaps, turn arena hazards on and off, and so on and so forth. The game even has a secret advanced menu that you can unlock by holding down the 2, 0, 9, and 7 keys on the main menu, and that'll let you mess with even more game options. But finally, we come to tournament mode. This is what OMF is all about, in my opinion, and where it pioneered. In tournament mode, you make your own custom fighter and enter tournaments to grind money to buy and upgrade your robots. You can choose the overall difficulty level you want to play at, but each tournament also has its own relative difficulty. You can repeat any tournament you want so long as you can pay the entry fee. The points you earn in matches directly influence how much cash you earn, so it becomes a personal challenge to try and get big bonuses for getting perfect rounds and performing destructions on your opponents. The tournament also has its fair share of secret characters, usually discovered by performing destructions or getting perfect rounds. Some of them are cute references to other epic Mega Games characters. Tournament mode is really quite addictive, and it's this addition to the game that sets it apart from other fighters of the day, and wasn't really replicated in mainstream until Soul Edge in 1996 with its adventure mode. And even then, it wasn't until Soul Calibur 3 that you could create your own character, and that was made almost a decade after One Must Fall did it. Did I mention that the game's now freeware? I'll put a link to a download in the description. Well, that's all from me for this edition of DOS Like a Boss. If you have any positive or negative responses, then do leave a comment below. Likewise, if you want to suggest a game for a future DLAB, then comment in all caps and no punctuation because it will help me notice that a bunch of people want me to play Ken's Labyrinth or some shit. Subscribe!